Good afternoon. Welcome to the El Paso Metropolitan Planning Organization virtual public meeting. I'm Harrison Ford, Assistant Director for the MPL. This is the second meeting being held as part of a 45-day public review and comment period for amendments to our Public Participation Plan, or Triple P for short. This public review and comment period started on July 6th, continues until August 20th. The meeting will begin with a presentation providing a brief explanation of the plan and the proposed amendments, as well as guidance on how to submit comments and questions. The presentation will be given by Jeff Powell, our senior planner at the MPO, who is managing the public input process for this amendment. I'd like to thank the public for taking time out of your day to join us to learn about the MPO and the public participation plan in particular. And I look forward to hearing your thoughts and comments. And with that, I will hand it over to Jeff to begin the presentation.
Thank you very much, Harrison, and good afternoon, everyone. This is Jeff Howell with the MPO. And before we begin the presentation, we want to walk you through the topics, as Harrison mentioned, that will be discussed during the meeting. On the screen, you can see the meeting schedule for today. We will begin by letting you know how to interact in Microsoft Teams. We will then be providing an overview of the El Paso MPO and the public participation plan and the amendments, as well as the information you need to know regarding our public comment period and how to submit your comments. We will then provide an outline of future meetings and then open it up for questions and answers. If you're not familiar with Microsoft Teams, these are some of the things that you'll see on your screen. Everyone will be muted during the presentation portion for the purpose of eliminating background noise. But we will be watching for your questions and comments, which you can send to us at any time during the presentation through the meeting conversation, which appears on your meeting controls as shown here. We'll be answering the questions and comments during the Q&A portion of the presentation. If you'd like for us to follow up on any of your questions or comments and provide further details offline, please make sure to include your contact information, such as your name and email address, in the chat box. If you would like to speak during the question and answer portion of the presentation, please select the raise hand icon on your controls. Once we say your name, you may unmute yourself by clicking on the microphone icon and start speaking. We do want to encourage everyone to interact on today's call, so please don't hesitate to send us your questions and comments. Let's begin the presentation by understanding what an MPO is. The Metropolitan Planning Organization, or MPO, they are created by federal law in urbanized areas with a population of 50,000 people or more. The El Paso MPO has been designated to cover El Paso County in Texas and portions of Doña Ana County and Otero counties in New Mexico, as shown on this boundary map. The main duties of the MPO include to perform all transportation planning activities in the MPO region and the programming of federal, state, and local funding for transportation projects and programs. MPOs are also responsible for ensuring that all transportation projects and programs using governmental funds are based on the 3 C's planning process. This means that metropolitan transportation planning needs to be continuing, which requires an ongoing performance-based monitoring, evaluation, and update. Cooperative, that it includes the participation of federal, state, and local agencies, as well as key stakeholders and the public. And comprehensive, that it takes into consideration a wide range of strategies and investments. You'll be able to see how those are reflected in the item that we are discussing today. As part of the continuing effort to improve public engagement, the El Paso MPO is amending the Public Participation Plan, or Triple P for short, which outlines the strategies and activities used to engage the public in transportation planning and the decision-making process. The minimum length of the public comment period, as mentioned, is 45 days whenever a public participation plan is developed or amended. While this document was recently amended last year, we are looking to amend it again to address a few additional items that have been identified, which I'll go through in more detail on the following slides. With the amendment that is being brought forward at this time, we are updating the public participation plan to include the annual listing of obligated projects, which is a report of how funds were spent in the last year on transportation projects, include the updated Title VI complaint procedures and forms, which were also recently updated, include provisions for the executive committee member absences, address minor typos and grammatical errors, and to update various website links that were modified during website update this spring to ensure that they are working properly. There is one additional item that is not reflected in the document that we would like to incorporate after the public comment period is over, which I'll go over in more detail as well, as it was recently identified. And those are the Tier 1 and Tier 2 amendments. The rest of the document does remain the same as before. The first of these amendments is the annual listing of obligated projects. This item was not included in the most recently adopted public participation plan, but it was identified by the Federal Highway Administration, or FHWA, as needing to be included, so it is being incorporated during this amendment. This section now incorporates the annual listing of obligated projects, when it is to be developed, and where it is to be posted upon completion. The areas of the updated document where the updates occurred can be seen here on this slide in yellow, and that goes for the additional upcoming slides as well. The annual listing of obligated projects is a report posted on the MPO website 90 days after the fiscal year is over, and that discloses the funds that have been obligated in the previous year in order to provide the public with an understanding of how those funds have been spent on the transportation system. Next are the updates to the Title VI complaint procedures and forms. The Title VI complaint documents were updated recently as well as part of several amendments to the Title VI program, some of which were included are the complaint procedures and complaint forms, and have them in both English and Spanish. These updated documents are included for reference as part of the public participation plan and are therefore incorporated as part of this amendment. This also provides for consistency across MPO documents. The next amendment is for the provisions for members of the executive committee and their absences. While the section of the executive committee did exist previously, language was added to highlight the portion of the bylaws that indicates members with 3 cumulative absences will lose their voting status, which was not included in the previous public participation plan since this was recently updated in the bylaws. It is also being included here to ensure consistency and awareness for committee members. Another amendment is regarding several instances of minor typographical and grammatical errors to be addressed. In reviewing the most recent update, there are portions of the text that include errors such as repeated words, spacing issues, and sentence structures that could be modified to be more accurate and legible. While this does not change the meaning of what is being said, this is being done to ensure that the document again is both legible and understandable. And finally, the last of these amendments in the draft document are to update various website links throughout the document. With the recent updates to the website, some of the links that were modified and identified in the 2020 update are no longer accessible. And this is being included as part of the update to ensure and provide accurate and current website information, and to ensure that the public has access to the various information produced and maintained by the El Paso MPO. One of the items that was brought forward during an external training session is regarding amendments to the Transportation Improvement Program. As an opportunity to further improve our processes with regards to amendments, specifically for the Transportation Improvement Program, or TIP, since we are currently in amendment period of the public participation plan, we wanted to propose an additional modification to the public participation plan document. Currently in this section, which is section 4, regarding amendments, the final bullet point is vague, with only reading major and minor amendments to project initiation dates. However, there is no definition as to what is identified as major or minor. In order to improve upon this and add further clarification, we are proposing to add the text shown in red in both sections. Since this would not be incorporated until after the public comment period is over, I'll go ahead and read the proposed text to make everyone aware of this update, as this language is currently being developed. Within Tier 1, which are the primary amendments and go before the TPB, the last bullet in this text mentions it includes, but is not limited to, would be updated to read major changes to project and project phase initiation dates. A major change is considered moving a project into or out of the first 4 fiscal years of a TIP, as allowed by funding categories. While the Tier 2 or secondary amendments are administrative and are located in the same location, they would be updated to read in that last bullet point, minor changes to project and project phase initiation dates. A minor change is considered moving a project fund to another fiscal year, provided they are not being moved into or out of the first 4 fiscal years of a TIP as allowed by funding categories. Again, the text of this proposed amendment is tentative at this point and is pending further review and discussion amongst the board, but we wanted to make you aware of this section that it may be proposed to be amended since it was not included as part of the draft and has come up for discussion. For more information and to view the draft of the updated public participation plan, inclusive of the proposed amendments that have been discussed today, it is available for review at our website, which is www.elpasonpo.org. So to demonstrate that, I will go to the website as well, and so you can see where the document is located and to access the electronic version. So if you go to the website, at the top of the website, you'll see Get Involved portion. And if you click on that, that will take you to our public involvement page. And once there, you'll click on the 45-day public comment and review period for the public participation plan. And this will take you to the page that includes all the information. To access this information and page more directly, please visit www.elpasonpo.org/public-comment_PPP. As I mentioned here, you'll find more information on the public participation plan update and review the document and be able to review the draft at your convenience. You will also find the information on the public comment period and about ways to comment on the proposed update. As previously mentioned, the 45-day public comment period began on July 6th and runs until August 20th. Once you have reviewed the document provided on the website, and after hearing today's presentation, if you wish to provide comments, you can email us at the address listed here, or you can click on the contact form in the public comment page. You can also mail your comments to us directly to the MPO office. With regards to future meetings, this is a list of the upcoming meetings with the feedback from the 2 virtual meetings, as well as the feedback received during the 45-day public comment period. The comments will then be gathered and reviewed to determine if any amendments are to be made to the document before being presented to the TPAC, or the Transportation Project Advisory Committee, for their review and recommendation. This meeting will be held on September 1st at 1:30 p.m. for a recommendation on the updated draft document, followed by the final meeting or decision by the TPB, or Transportation Policy Board, on September 17th at 9 a.m. Stay involved with the MPO and stay up to date on all of our projects on our social media. Please feel free to keep up to date with the MPO on the social media sites such as Facebook, Twitter, and YouTube. Again, my name is Jeff Howell, and also working on this with me as well from the MPO is Gabriela Lopez. Our contact information is listed here on this slide. For those of you in attendance on Microsoft Teams, please raise your hand and we can call on you to unmute your microphone one at a time. Also, for those of you on the phone, please press *6 to unmute yourself. Please introduce yourself before speaking as well. And we can now open it up for question and answer and dialogue.
Okay, thank you, Jeff, for the presentation. As you said, this is the time for comments or questions. Staff will be on until 5 p.m. So if there are comments or questions, well, we can take those now. There are other ways to provide comments and questions if we don't get any now as well, as Jeff just went over. So thanks again for your attention, and we are on the line for any comments, questions, concerns.